What's up, everybody? Welcome aboard to Trading Live with me, Bubba. And what's going on? Markets are a little nothing, not much action. A little whippy though. Crude oil is spiking to the moon, but it's come off a little bit from its original highs earlier this morning. But we remain in the same, not a lot going on category right now. The volumes are still real low, and not a total shock. You do have the jobs number tomorrow. So typically, ahead of big numbers like that, markets don't do a real lot. We've been whipping back and forth. I mean, right now the NASDAQ is down 60. It's been down 100 and up 100. So again, I don't really think there's a lot going on here, but we'll certainly look and we'll be watching. And of course, as it's Thursday, there's a lot of things we might look at going into tomorrow to take some off the table to sell some premium, which is one of the things we've been doing. And of course, Apple, which we talked about last week, at selling some call spreads, would have worked out perfectly, which we did put on. But again, if you didn't make it, remember, it's never bad if you miss a trade. There's always another trade coming. The worst thing you can ever do is to chase a trade. Okay. Amazon, again, was overbought. Now we're getting back down here. Here we're in the middle of nowhere. Not really much to do. Coin, right? Nothing to do, as we talked about last week. Sell call spreads. Again, what we do is we're waiting for opportunities as we try to take some premium in, try to build up our account slowly by taking some premium and taking some very low risk positions, or creating some positions that, again, manage the risk. And again, as we go back and look at our trading board, there's not a lot going on here. Again, it's not, believe me, we would love to be able to trade. We'd love to be able to fire, but there's really not much to really look at. So where are we going? So we'll go back and see what's going on with the rest of the crowd. Again, right at the mean, nothing really much in here. Meta continues to be overbought, and now we're going to start running into next Friday. A week from tomorrow starts the earnings season. So, but again, we still got some time ahead of us. Certainly would be a potential sell, and of course, each time we sold call spreads up here, they have paid off, because again, remember, when you're selling premium, they don't have to go in your direction that you're playing them. So if you sell call spreads, they don't have to go down. You just don't want them to go up. And it really has not gone up for the last 10 days, just been churning around. Google, again, got to overbought. Now, we weren't together Tuesday, so I couldn't talk about this with you, but it would have been a potential. And again, I don't talk about trades that I did not make or that I'm not willing to make, but I will point out areas that there are potential opportunities. IWM, nothing, right at the mean, coming down to some support, and it looks to me that IWM is like 215 to 225. Moderna continues to get thrashed. Every time we think there's a potential bottom, it makes a lower low. And of course, that is a pattern that you watch, because the continuation of making lower lows is, again, a typical destination in the direction that the market is going, which is down. Microsoft, really nowhere, right at the mean. But all these paid off when we did them a couple of weeks ago, because, again, they did all fail from where they were supposed to. Nugget, same thing, right down to the mean, not much going on. NVIDIA, in that Neverland last week, we talked about selling it, and of course it did come down. Accuse, right in the middle of nowhere, not much to do. Square, not much to do. SPY, not much to do. Tesla certainly was an opportunity if you're around, and again, we talked about it last week, but we couldn't do anything about it. So again, sometimes you just can't make a trade, and that's one thing you have to remember. Is sometimes you can't, there's not a trade to be made. So we don't chase the market. We don't worry about it. Hold on one second. I'm sorry, guys. There's something going on here. 1 second. Hold on 1 second. I'll be right back. I got to just run away for 1 second. I'm sorry. Just hold on. Sorry about that. I'm back. Okay, so again, sometimes there's very little to do, and you have to be willing to do nothing when there is very little to do. Okay, and again, as we look at our trading charts here, there's nothing really to trade. I mean, virtually, there's not enough fear or panic in the market, and I think that's something that you have to continue to watch. And as we go back to Tesla that we were looking at, again, it was a perfect opportunity, did exactly as expected. When would be a potential sell here? It's been going up every day. You'll notice this straight up parabolic move. It's really an opportunity to try to sell it. Now, again, obviously, you're going to have to, you always have to be willing to make that trade more than once. Okay, again, if it doesn't work, then you can do it again because you're still in the same condition. You're still in a high probability setup, and that's again, all we're trying to do is keep ourselves in the highest amount of probability when we're making a trade, and that's what we look for. And if we can't get it, then we don't make them. And of course, Zoom reached up, and again, we weren't together, so I couldn't talk about it, but you can see that what we were watching for on a regular basis has happened once again. And again, consistency and the willingness to sit it out when you have nothing to do. And right now there is not a lot to do, and it's not going to change suddenly, except on these 4-minute charts, which we're watching. So we have to sit here, and you have to be patient enough not to pull the trigger. And it is always my recommendation to everybody to not really look at the chart first, but to look at the volume first. Because at the end of the day, this is a 2-part trade. The price has to be out of character as well as the volume. But you can sometimes, if you're watching, you can convince yourself that there's a trade even without the volume. The key here is the volume, because that is really, you're playing off of the emotional side of others. And that's what your focus has to be. And right now, does anybody see any emotion in this market right now? I certainly don't. Doesn't mean that there's not. To me, that's just like a market that's trading back and forth. They sell them off, they buy them back up, they sell them off. And over the last, hour or so, we've been nothing but pure sideways. Okay. And that goes for almost every market we're watching right now. So what is there for me to do if the markets are going sideways? Okay. Now, again, it could, at any moment, there's always a chance at any time that could change. And that's what you have to remember. So if you're watching and you're prepared for change, then you're ready to make the trade. But right now, there's really nothing that I'd want to trade. I mean, I wouldn't want to put you in exposure, nor would I want to put myself in exposure. And I think this is something that you're always watching. Okay. Because again, it doesn't matter what time I'm looking at, there's not much action. There's very little volume. We are dramatically lower. And again, it does tie into my suspicion of the jobs number tomorrow. Now, crude had a giant spike up here, as you can see. Okay. So now you're looking and you can see now what has happened. Well, crude is now consolidating. So crude is going to make another move from here. Now, the assumption, that I would make is that it's probably going to try to go higher again. Now, I'm not making any trade based on that, but we've been trending higher anyways. You got the blow off, you got the resolution, which is consolidation, and now it's going to break out again one way or the other. My guess is, if I were guessing, would be to the upside, but I'm really not interested in trying to guess. I'm waiting for the market. I'm waiting for the chart to give me the next clue. And the next clue will be if I get a dramatic spike in volume and a price movement along with that, that will be my next clue to make the trade. Okay. If we can get that trade, then great. If we get a trade, great. If we don't get a trade, well, remember, the decision not to make a trade is the same thing as making a trade, because you're making a decision not to trade. And I think that that is the correct decision under the current circumstances on these short-term charts, on the day trading model. Right now, I believe the best trade to make is no trade. Okay. And again, we'll sit here, we'll watch, we'll wait and see if we can get something out of here. But that's why you use and start looking at some of these other charts as opportunities, because again, it doesn't have to be just the ones I follow. I mean, there's a number of stocks that could be potentially looked at. I mean, you could look at even an IBM, for example. I mean, it's doing nothing. Okay. You could look at a Starbucks, for example, which has been straight sideways. Okay, which is one of our losing trades from a few weeks ago, because we sold it here and it never came down. It resolved itself by going sideways. SMCI, supercomputer. Again, you want to take a chance. It's a pretty fast mover. Stock moves sometimes $100 or $200 a day, but certainly this would be an opportunity to potentially sell some put spreads down here. Again, am I anxious? No, I don't see it to be that great of a setup. But I mean, this is what you're looking at, and this is what you're trying to define is there an opportunity for me to make a trade that gives me the highest probability of success and gives me the best opportunity to make money? And that's always our theory is, can we make money? Is there opportunity for us to do so? And, again, when there's not opportunity, you have to be willing to, sit it out on the sidelines. And of course, we see crude after we thought was maybe going to go up. But again, it's not a final score. It may fail back here and fall back down again. And again, this is the challenge of being a trader. Okay. Because it is not easy. There is nobody handing out $100 bills on the street corner. This is a challenging business that takes an immense amount of patience for you to be successful. Because again, it's better to find the winners than to try to force just a trade, whether it be a winner or a loser. And you want to wait for the best possible setups, because at the end of the day, okay, you're playing a probability model. And the probability is very simple. Okay. If you have the opportunity, you take the trade, win or lose. But if you don't have the opportunity, even if you make a trade when you don't have the opportunity, even if it's a winning trade, doesn't make it a good trade. It makes it a lucky trade. You could have the most perfect setup in the world and it can be a loser. And you can take the worst trade in the world, it can be a winner. But we're not talking about one trade. We're talking about the law of large numbers and the ability to make money and grind it out over time. And it's a very hard concept for most to understand. But a lot of times it is better to sit and do nothing. And right now, this particular time looks like there is not much to do. And certainly I'm not going to force a trade here. I mean, where am I forcing it to? If I force it, all I'm really doing is throwing my opinion into a trade. Okay. And again, my opinion, like yours, is worthless. Okay. I mean, again, do I have an idea? Yeah. But again, I'm not looking to trade off an opinion, because we all get the same information. So the best way to do it is to watch the footprint that the market is leaving you. And if we can accelerate our information, and that is when it shows us that there's something to do, then we make the trade. When it doesn't show us anything, we have to sit back and be patient and wait. And that's, again, here we are. And this has been more often the case over the last few weeks. I think we've had 2 or 3 live day trades over the last few weeks. So at the end of the day, there's not a lot to do. And instead of, wasting your time, we'll just be back on Tuesday. Again, there's not much to do here. And, what are we going to teach? There's nothing to teach off of. So we'll call it a day, and we'll see you back here next Tuesday. Have a great week, everybody. Thanks so much. We'll see you later.
You know how the financial world goes. Here comes the buzzkill. Please make sure to take some time to read this boring disclaimer. We will owe you one.